Dear students, today in the class you will be pleased to learn a very interesting Newton's third law of motion with the help of various interesting and inspirational related examples of the Newton's third law of motion. Like, as you can see, this boy and a girl is playing on the skates and trying to push each other. A very tragic and famous event in the Vrindavan during the period of Dwapar Yuga, when the Lord Krishna lifted the Govardhan Hill to protect the inhabitants of the Vrindavan. This incident is going to also teach us about the reaction and action force acting on the finger of the Lord and the Govardhan Hill. Even his playful days in the Rajbhumi, in the forest of Vrindavan, while swinging and dangling on the plants of trees with his cowherd boys. So this event also is going to teach us about the reaction and action force. Also, his famous Makhan Chori Lila is going to teach us about how the reaction is acting on this motor, and what is the reaction which the action acting on the body of the Lord. Even students, we're going to learn how when we fire a bullet from a gun, what is the action on the bullet and what is the reaction acting on the gun. And even a walking and running on the floor, also a boy leaving the boat and pushing the boat backwards, and the boat is creating a reaction force on this person or this boy. Even the swimming of a child, how the swimming is possible, or a person can swim in the water. Even the rowing of a boat, the hammering of a nail on the wall, and also about the propelling of the rocket in the sky. So these are various examples in which we are going to learn about the Newton's law of motion in a much more elaborative and detailed manner with the help of various examples I presented in front of you. So students, whenever two bodies interact with each other, the force exerted by the first body on the second call action. So let us first understand this line. The girl is applying a force on this boy. Okay, that is an action. And the boy is applying an equal and opposite force on the girl. That is reaction. Okay, so this is the case with the action and reaction force. So the action acts on the second body and the reaction acts on the first body by the second body. Okay, in this way, every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So to understand this, whether the reaction or the action force are opposite but are equal or not. So students, you can see we are pulling a spring balance in this direction. So when we are pulling the spring balance, the direction is in this way. You can see this is marked by the arrow. So this is the action which is 10 Newton as marked by the spring balance. Now, equal and opposite reaction force, because the second spring balance, that is A, is being fixed on this wall, on this fixed support. So it is creating a reaction force in this direction. You can see this reaction force in this direction, which is 10 Newton also, which is being measured by the spring balance. So in this way, students, there is an equal force, that is 10 Newton, and is opposite, that is action and reaction forces are opposite. So this statement is clearly is clear and verified that the magnitude of forces acting upon the objects are same, okay, and they are equal and opposite reaction. But the acceleration produced in them may or may not be the same. Like in the case of a girl and a boy, they are pushing each other, but the acceleration produced in both the bodies might be different because of the masses, as a mass is inversely proportional to acceleration. Okay, as I told you earlier, if the mass is more, acceleration is less, and the mass is less, the acceleration is more. Now students, the famous event in the Vrindavan during that period, during the Dwapar Yuga, the inhabitants of Vrindavan was used to offer their sacrifices and offerings to the Lord Indra, the demigod of heaven, and who is responsible for water or rainfall or thunder in the sky on the planet Earth. So, as the inhabitants of Vrindavan, suggested by Lord Krishna, stopped offering their sacrifices and offerings to the Lord Indra, the Indra became angry. So he ordered his dangerous clouds to shower incessant rainfall on the Vrindavan and inundate the Vrindavan with floods. So for that purpose, the Lord Krishna, for the devotees, for the loving devotees, and for the Vrajvasis, he lifted the Govardhan Hill on his one finger, small finger. He lifted the Govardhan Hill because he is the Lord and he can do anything. So for that, you can understand, students, in this way. The action is acting in this direction by this hill. The hill, which is the weight of the hill, is acting in this direction, which is action, and equal and opposite reaction force is acted by the Lord in this upward direction. So in this way, both action and reaction are balanced and they are equal and opposite. That is why the Govardhan Hill has been lifted by the Lord Sri Krishna. And even the Lord broke the false ego of Indra, and Indra surrendered to the Lord, offered his offerings to the Lord, and prayed to the Lord for his misunderstanding and not understanding the glories of the Lord. So that is the quality of a demigod, and that is the glory of the Lord Supreme Krishna. Even, students, we can learn from here, the Lord is playing with his cowherd boys in the jungle, in the Vrindavan forest. So the swing first of all was in this direction. Now it is moving in this direction. You can see in this way the swing is moving in this direction. So this is the action which is being applied by the one cowherd boy at the bottom of the figure. You can see here. So the cowherd boy is pushing this swing. They are dangling on the swing. So the swing is being moved in this direction. This is an action, and by the wind or the action force, there is an equal and opposite reaction force which is in this direction, and the swing will move in this direction also. So for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. What we give, we get it back. Okay, so this thing is moving in this direction and it also going in this backward direction. Now, students, you can see this famous Makhan Chori Leela, as the Lord loves sweet and soft heart. Similarly, he loves a soft and sweet makhan. So he is he's taking this makhan from this matki. So he's on the shoulder of his cowherd friend. So you can see in this figure when he's at the shoulder of the cowherd boy, his friend. So a weight of the Lord is acting downwards, which is an action, and a reaction force by the shoulder, by this friend, by Krishna's friend, is acting upwards. So that is both the forces are balancing. That is why the Lord is able to stand or being on his shoulder of his friend. Even, students, we can stand this case of a gun firing a bullet. When the gun is firing a bullet, the bullet is moving this direction. This is an action force. Accelerating force of the bullet is in this direction, and because of the fire of the bullet, equal and opposite reaction force acts on the backward direction because of the recoil force on the gun. That is why we feel a jerk or a hit on our shoulders on our body when we hit the bullet from the gun. Even the moving or walking on the floor, a force is being applied in this direction on the floor, and a reaction force acts by the floor on a body. That is why we are able to move. You can see the reaction: floor pushes up and forward, and the action, foot pushes down and back. The foot is pushing down and back in this blue color, and the floor is creating a reaction force because of which we are able to walk. Similarly, this boy is pushing this board backwards, and the boy is being lifted upwards, and the boy is moving this direction. He creates an action force on the boat, and the boat creates a reaction force on this child. Even this child who is swimming in the water, he is applying an action force in this direction, pushes the water backwards. Okay, this is an action force by this child, and a water creates a reaction force forward, because of which the boy is able to move in the water or swim in the water. Because this is a reaction force, water pushes the person forward. So, students, I'm explaining you various kinds of reasonings, so you can write on your own in your copy in your own language, in whichever manner you understand. Your language should be familiar to you, and it should be easy to understand the various reasonings based on Newton's third law of motion. Even, students, this person is rowing a boat, so this is the force is applied by the pole in this direction, and the water is pushing a reaction force in this direction. Also, when we are hammering the nail on the wall, we get when you have the hammer a nail in the wall, when you hammer a nail in the wall, we feel hurt in our hand. Why we feel hurt in our hand? Because the reaction force is acting by the nail in the upward direction towards us also. When we put a reaction force on the nail as well as the ball is creating a reaction force on our hand, because of which we feel hurt. And the propelling of the rocket is a very, very common phenomena based on the Newton's third law of motion. As we know, in the rocket or an aeroplane or jet, there is a certain kind of fuel which is being burned. When the fuel is being burned, the force of gases in the downward direction creates a reaction force upward, because of which the force on rocket, or the reaction creates on the rocket, or because of the rocket moves upwards. See, the force on the gas, or the gases which are expelling out of the rocket, is the action force, and the expelled gas is creating a reaction force upwards, because of which the rocket moves upwards. Even you can test or experiment at your home by filling a balloon with the gas and holding with its nozzle downwards, and if you leave it, the balloon will start moving upwards. You must have experimented it when you were in your birthday days, or somewhere in your home, sometime in your childhood. This is a very common phenomena we can understand, by which we can understand the Newton's third law of motion. So students, thank you very much. I hope you liked examples. So you must be learning a good lesson from all these different examples of action and reaction. So thank you very much, students. So this was the Newton's third law of motion. For every action, there is equal and opposite reaction. Okay, students. Thank you very much. Thank you.